This past weekend, I went and saw Novocaine, and my thoughts on it are this movie is really good. I had a lot of fun with it. It's not great, but it isn't terrible either. It's just an overall fun time at the movies. Novocaine is about a man who can't feel any pain, and he ends up meeting a girl from work. They go out, he likes her, and then something happens to her. So it's a pretty basic premise of like damsel in distress, or like girl needs to save her, or boy wants to save girl for whatever reason and whatnot. So with that, you can't really do much with it, I guess, but there are some fun little twists in there that happen that I'll get to later. One thing I really enjoyed about this movie was that Jack Quaid's acting of not feeling any pain was very believable. Like, I actually felt like he couldn't feel any pain. Everything was just, I mean, obviously a lot of it's fake, but still, just when he would get hit by something like with a spike, or like there's a scene where an arrow will go through his leg, he's just like, what was that? Oh. Because, like, he doesn't feel any pain, but he knows something is keeping him from moving. So just the way he kind of like looks around and is like, what was that? It was good. And then anytime he gets punched, it just looks like one of those punch dummies that just like, so, but yeah, so like I thought it was all really good. And so I think because he can't feel any pain, he technically can't get knocked out because his brain doesn't have that trigger in him. I'm not too sure though. I also like though that while the feeling of no pain on its outside surface is almost like a superhero type thing, everybody would think like, oh my god, that'd be so cool because you could do all these things and not feel any pain for it. Well, at the same time, what this movie does a really good job of is showing the actual like weaknesses behind it. So, for example, he has like this little like stick in his shower that stops the little dial where the heat goes for the water, so that way he doesn't burn himself. He's got his whole like apartment baby proof, so there's like little like spongy stuff on the corners of sharp stuff, so he doesn't just like hit it and like keep hitting it and ruin himself. And there's also a scene where he goes on a date with the girl and she wants him to try pie, but he refuses to eat solid foods. And he explains it because he could bite off his tongue and not feel any of the pain. And that's something that I thought was really clever that I didn't really ever think about, because I have heard of this before. It's an actual condition, but I forget what it's called. They even say it in the movie, but I forget. But it's something you don't really think about, like something as simple as a tongue. So I thought that was really interesting, and it also then allows them to dive deep into his personal emotions as well. So like he can't feel pain, but he can feel emotion, and they go into that quite well. If they do a sequel, I'd like to see them take on some other forms of pain. So like, for example, he put his hand in the deep fryer, and then, like as I mentioned earlier, with the water being hot. So it seems like they focus on a lot of like physical pain and hot pain, but like I want to see a scene where they do like a cryo chamber against a bad guy, or like something that involves an ice bath or something like that, to show like the excruciating pain that cold can also bring too, or just like have him be up in the mountains or something. I don't know, but it hasn't even been greenlit for a sequel, but that's just something that I would like to see. I'd like to see more kind of cold pain infliction as well as heat, versus just like heat and physical pain. Or maybe that's one thing that he also hasn't tried that actually might be his kryptonite. Like feeling the pain of cold might actually be what gets him to feel pain. I mean, they could do a whole load of things with this. Another thing that makes this movie kind of special is that he's just a dude. He's just a guy that works at a bank, minds his business, plays his games, and that's it. He just found a girl he really likes and decided to say, no, I'm going to save her because the cops aren't going to do it fast enough. And one thing that's really good about this girl that he goes to save is that she actually brought him out of his shell. He'd always stay inside, and then she had him come to like an art meeting and stuff like that. And then he ran into somebody he knew from high school that was a bully, and the guy was acting the same way. So then she kind of did something pretty funny to the bully. So then like they were able to just have this bond almost right away. That was really believable, and both actors were really good at what they were doing. Speaking of the girl, Amber Midthunder is the actress, and her character was very believable as well, just like Jack Quaid's. It was like, and I mean that as far as their chemistry goes, it's almost like you felt like the actors had known each other their whole lives versus the characters, which then made the characters even better. Nothing about the relationship in the movie felt off or forced or anything like that. Sometimes in movies you can kind of tell when like co-stars aren't comfortable around each other, or like they're arguing a lot because just the chemistry's not there. There was even a twist involved with her character in that she was actually the sister of one of the bank robbers that came and robbed their bank at the beginning. So it's like she had this grand plan, or the whole crew had this grand plan of like, okay, you're going to work here for a few months. We're going to get used to it. We're going to get you to establish relationships within the job, and then we're going to come and rob it. So it's almost like, A, they had done it before, and B, they had been planning this out for a while. And then, but because she actually cared about Nathan, Novocaine, her character decided to then go against it, and she actually felt bad, which is what dove into Nathan's emotional pain. Once he found out that she was essentially like on their side, but kind of not really, you could see disappointment in him, and like how that hurt him more than anything he had been throughout the entire movie. And he had arrows in his legs, he had those spike ball things in his back, he had his hand in a deep fryer, all this stuff, all this different stuff. And just the one thing that hurt him the most that you could actually see was seeing that she was involved with the bank robbers. Thankfully, though, it wasn't the girl character played by Amber Midthunder, Sherry, just playing the boy, playing Novocaine. So she actually cared for him, and then maybe at first that was the plan, was to kind of like make him feel good and confident and everything like that, and then she actually fell for him too. But I liked how it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I played you, like, too bad. She was like, no, I actually really do like him. And so now, even though that the main bank robber is her brother, she knows that it's not the right thing to do. And Novocaine has kind of showed her that and brought her into that innocent side of the world, because their family didn't grow up that well. When it comes to supporting characters in this movie, I guess like the main three would be the two cops that are involved in the case, and Jacob Batalon's character, Charlie. He was good. Like he really wasn't in the movie much, which I was kind of surprised about. Most of his acting is like over a telephone. Like he's not in it in person quite a bit. It was nice to see him in something besides Spider-Man, but at the same time, I felt like he played the exact same role of the guy in the chair. He did end up going and helping out a little bit too, so there's a little bit of a difference there, I guess you can say, but I wouldn't say it's much difference than the way his character helped out in Spider-Man No Way Home. So with that, I hope he doesn't get typecast. I do think he's a good actor, but I would like to see him kind of branch out to something else that is still on, like, it could still be a comedy, it could still be an action movie, but I don't want to see him typecast as this character of this guy in the chair or the sidekick character to help out, because I do think he's a good actor and he deserves a better treatment. For me, if this movie had about 15 minutes shaved off of it, it would have been the perfect amount of time. There was a little bit of times where like it felt like it was kind of dragging on too much, a little bit too much talking. So not that I'm like always in need for like action and everything like that, but for a movie like this, I'd say like an hour 30 to an hour 45 is like the perfect time frame, and it was just over 2 hours, I believe. I would like to see more of these movies happen in the future. Maybe Sherry has family members that want to come after her and Novocaine because she turned their back on them, and they have this sort of revenge plot. Or maybe they are on a vacation somewhere and something happens, and then they're like, hey, like, well, we've done this before, we could do it again. And then so it kind of continuing to build on that confidence of Novocaine. At the end of the day, I just like to see more films of this nature because, again, like I said earlier, they're just a fun time at the movies. You can kind of go, turn your brain off, and just enjoy with whoever you're with. I went with my girlfriend, and we both loved the movie. It was actually one of our favorite movies we've seen in the last like month or so. And I'll go over all the movies I see in March at the very end of the month and then rank them. But you could go with your girlfriend, you could go with your wives, you could go with your boyfriends, you could go with your friends, you could go with your siblings. You could literally go and see this movie with anybody, and almost everybody would like it. If they don't, they probably have the personality of a stone. So don't go see it with them. So either way, at the end of the day, I give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. Did you see Novocaine this past weekend? If you did, go ahead and let me know down below what you thought of it. Let me know about your takes on whether you agree or disagree with me. Do you like any of my ideas for sequels, anything like that? Also, this upcoming week, there are 2 movies that I want to see, and that's going to be Alto Nights with Robert De Niro and Magazine Dreams with the one and the only Kang, baby. Jonathan Majors is back. So what's funny about this movie, I think it's actually 20th Century Studios movie that's released, or that's releasing Magazine Dreams, which is a Disney-owned property. So I wonder if he's going to come back as Kang and just maybe just for a little bit, just to see Dr. Doom wipe him out. So we'll see. But Magazine Dreams was a movie that was in the pipe before his whole lawsuit and everything like that. And so I don't know if they had already finished it and shelved it or if they went back and finished it. But either way, that movie's still coming out. It looks really good. And he's a really good actor. Despite his personal life, he's still a good actor. And then Alto Nights, Robert De Niro very rarely disappoints. He plays 2 different characters, but they're not twins. I'm interested to see what that whole thing's going to be. But so yeah, be on the lookout for reviews on both of those movies next week. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and week. And I'll see you guys in the next video.